Good morning, students. Welcome to online session of Social Sciences. In previous class, we have studied about Alauddin and the Mongols. In that, we have discussed Alauddin Khilji's administration, that is, administration reforms and economic reforms. After that, we have studied about Taimur's invasion of India, the Sayyid dynasty, and Lodi dynasty. Today, we are going to understand about the life and culture under the Delhi Sultanate. Dear students, do you know the rule period of Delhi Sultans? Yes, it is not 2 or 3 centuries. The rule of the Delhi Sultans extending over a period of 5 centuries, that is 500 years. As it was a very long period, it had a great impact on the life of the people of India. Its impact was on the social, economic, religious, and cultural life. This period of medieval India history had many features were quite different from the features of ancient India. Social life. During the medieval period, Indian society was divided into 4 major classes or groups. Under first group, the aristocracy came. Second group, the priests. Third group, the town people. And the fourth and the last group, the village people or peasants. Now we will understand the division of society in detail. First group, that is the upper class or autocracy, comprised the ruling class. Ruling class means the people who rule on others. This group included the Sultan, the nobles, the landlords, and Hindu Rajas or prince. Second group or second section included the priest or the ulemas. Ulemas means a body of Muslim scholars who are recognized as having specialist knowledge of Islamic scared law. Then it included Maulvis. Maulvis, a learned teacher of Islamic law. The Qazis. Qazis is the magistrate or judge of Sharia's court. And it included Brahmins or the Pandits. The person of this group advised the ruler on the matters of administration. All the advices given to the rulers were always in a way that fits in with the sacred laws. Sacred means connected with God or which treated as holy. For the service, this class received land grants from the rulers for their living, and not only this, common people also offered them gifts and donations. Third group included the people of the town, people like shopkeepers, merchants, traders, etc. Fourth group or the lowest ladder of society was formed by the farmers and the peasants of the village. This group mostly paid the land revenue and other taxes. This group led miserable life, means very unhappy and depressed life. Do you know the reason behind this? Yes, land revenue and taxes. The people of this group survived on the basis of the money left after paying land revenues and tax. Economic life. Dear students, in previous class you all have studied that the agriculture was the main occupation in the ancient period. In the medieval period also, agriculture was the main occupation of the people. Firoz Shah Tughlaq took some measures to promote agriculture. First was he built 5 canals and dug a large number of wells. All these works were very helpful for the peasants and proved a boon. Second, at the time of drought and famine, the state gave loans to the peasants. India, as an Asian country, had a overland trade with Central and Western Asia. Multani Hindu traders were having the most of trade. India also had trade relation with Srivijaya Empire, China, East Africa and Arabia. The Srivijaya Empire flourished between the 7th and 13th century CE. This maritime means relating to shipping or other activity taking place at sea. and the commercial kingdom or state in the Malaya archipelago originated on the islands of Sumatra and soon came to control the Strait of Malacca. A Strait of Malacca, that is a narrow stretch of water between the Malaya Peninsula and Indonesia island of Sumatra. It was very powerful and its power was based on the control of international sea trade. It had trade relations with other islands and with China and India. Now, dear students, do you know there are two types of Buddhisms, Hinyan and Mahayana. The kingdom was also a center of Mahayana Buddhism, and many Chinese pilgrims who traveled to India stopped there. Beside the overland trade with different parts of Asia, India had flourished internal trade also. Let's talk about trade in northern India. In northern India, Delhi was a great center of trade. It was a market for the sale and purchase of many different goods. Few examples of that goods are rice, sugar, wheat, fine cotton, textiles, metalwares, handicrafts, ivory, etc. Economic life was very good during the medieval period as compared to previous period. This was the result of effort of three sultans. First, Alauddin Khalji, second, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, third, Sikandar Lodi. In previous class, we all have studied that Alauddin Khilji was a capable administrator and he was the first Delhi Sultan who took interest in the fiscal and economic reforms in his empire. Because of this reason, all the necessary items of life seem to have been cheaper during the reign of Alauddin Khilji. Second, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Now, Firoz Shah Tughlaq abolished many unfair taxes which resulted in the growth of trade. Third, Sikandar Lodi. He also introduced economic reforms that encouraged trade and industry. Despite all these efforts taken by these three sultans, the people had to bear the cost of the large army kept by every sultan. The growth of trade and agriculture also hampered because of the foreign invasion and internal revolts. Art and architecture. In previous classes, we have acquired the knowledge regarding the art and architecture during the Mughal period, and we have understood that Mughal rulers were very magnificent builders. The Sultan of Delhi were not magnificent in comparison to the Mughal rulers, but they took a fair amount of interest in it. The Sultan of Delhi founded new cities, built palaces, rest houses, bridges, mosques, and tombs. First, Alauddin Khilji built the city of Siri. Second, Ghiyasuddin bin Tughlaq built the city of Tughlaqabad. Third, Firoz Shah Tughlaq built the cities of Hisar, Firoza, Jaunpur. Fourth, Sikandar Shah built Adina Masjid at Padua, which was one of the largest mosques in the Muslim world. Fifth, Sultan Ahmad Shah built Jama Masjid at Ahmedabad. Sultan Mahmud Bagada or Mahmud Shah built mosque at Champaner. Seventh, Qutbuddin Aibak built the Quwwatul Islam Mosque, which is a fine example of the Indo-Muslim style of architecture. He also built the Arai Din Ka Jhopra Mosque at Ajmer, but was enlarged by Iltutmish. Qutbuddin Aibak also started the construction of Qutub Minar at Delhi, but it was finally completed by Iltutmish. Qutub Minar was originally of 225 feet height and had 4 stories. 8. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was considered as the most magnificent builder among all Tughlaq rulers. Few examples of greatest monuments are Firoz Shah Kotla, Kali Masjid, Lal Gumbaj, and his own mausoleum Mausoleum means impressive building, house or tomb. Ninth, Sikandar Lodi built मौत की masjid. Language and literature. The ruler of the Delhi Sultanate encouraged the study of Persian, a language of Persia. Do you know the reason behind this? Yes, because the Persian was spoken mostly by the rulers, nobility, and the ulema. Sanskrit was the another language which was considered as the classical language of Hindus, but it was spoken only by highly learned Hindus. The Bhakti movement led to the growth of many different religious regional languages such as Marathi, Gujarati, Hindi, Punjabi, Bengali, Kannada, Tamil, and Telugu. During this period, many Sanskrit books were translated into regional languages so that the common people can also read and understand it. Dear students, right now we have studied that the Persian was the court language. So, it was very important for both the Muslim and the Hindus. Both the communities contributed to the growth of Persian literature. Let's have few examples. Amir Khusro, also called the Parrot of India, belonged to this age. He was a famous author and poet. He wrote in many different languages like Persian, Hindi, and Urdu. Many other persons also used Persian language. Historians like Minhaj Siraj and Ziauddin Barani used the Persian language to record various information. Other than this, a traveler, Ibn Battuta, also used the Persian. All the above mentioned persons used Persian to write their accounts about the ruler, political events, and lives of the common people. During the Sultanate period, the evaluation of Urdu occurred. It was considered as a new hybrid language. Urdu was a simple language and it was understandable by both the Turks and Indians. The origin of Punjabi literature is also traced in the Sultanate period. In this period, Baba Sheikh Farid, a Sufi poet, sang in both languages, that is, Punjabi and Persian. And he was the first Sufi poet who used standard literary Punjabi. The Vijayanagar rulers patronized Sanskrit. Patronized means treat in a way that is apparently kind. The prominent or famous Sanskrit scholars of this age were Ramanuja, Sarthi Mishra, and Jayadeva. The Delhi Sultanate rulers got Sanskrit works translated into two languages, that is, Persian and Arabic. Administration of Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultans were despots. Despots means a ruler or other person who holds absolute power. They enjoyed immense powers. The Sultan word was considered as the law. He could appoint any person to any post and dismiss him according to his sweet will. There were no possibilities to the people to ask reason behind any work done by the Sultan. The Sultan took every kind of decision with the help of some advisors and ministers. The Sultan discussed the matters with them and took decision. The students, just now we have studied that the Sultan's word was law, but he was expected to follow the law based on the Quran and Islamic tradition. For this, the Qazi and the ulema advised the ruler on the matters of administration in accordance with the sacred laws. Not only sultans gave importance to the views of the Qazi and the ulema. For example, Balban, Alauddin Khilji, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq. All these rulers have not given importance to the Islamic tradition and its laws. The power of Delhi Sultan was dependent on military force. They maintained their power and control was in the hands of sultans only. The sultan had many different sources of incomes and war booty was one of them. The sultans were associated with different ministers. The most important of them were first, revenue minister called the wazir. Second, paymaster of the army called the Mir Bakshi. Third, the minister in charge of the military organization called Diwane Ariz.